So we have saved the best for last, so I'm told. Now, I'm not sure how true that is. However, my former COO of my company is a part of this group. So if I said anything otherwise, she might beat me up. So I have to give them their just due. So now we're going to hand things over to Trebora Morales as she introduces our sixth and final presentation for the East Tampa group. Trebora.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Trebora Morales, and I am the liaison for the East Tampa Robles Park Group. And I hope that everyone is feeling as blessed as I am to be a part of this event today. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but I am just smiling ear to ear in anticipation of hearing this group come before you all to share their vision of solutions to enhance our community. I have had the opportunity over these last few months to witness Cleao Martin, Kimberly Houston, and Morgan Blount exemplify what it is to be strong, confident leaders who don't shy down from a challenge, but step up to take every opportunity to grow with each passing session. Their professionalism has also been inspirational to me as I continue to grow as a leader. But this comes as no surprise, as this team of three has such impressive bios that prove what leaders are. I'll share just a glimpse of their accomplishments. Cleao Martin, having grown up in Tampa, Florida, has always been active within the community. A proud Morgan State and Tuskegee graduate, she is currently a research engineer at USF's Institute of Applied Engineering. Kimberly Houston is the owner and CEO of Logistique, a quality insurance consulting firm and the former COO of Serenity Village. She is a graduate of Florida State University, where she received her undergraduate degree. She then completed her graduate degree at Argosy University. She will be pursuing her Juris Master's in Compliance in the spring of 2022. She is also a board member of Empower Florida. And last but not least, Morgan Blount is currently a Vice President Global HR Program Manager for Citibank. Additionally, she is pursuing her doctorate in organization development. Morgan is passionate about leadership development, diversity and inclusion, and empowering people to reach the highest potential. So without further ado, I present to you all Cleao, Kimberly, and Morgan as they present to us their presentation on the East Tampa Robles Park community. Thank you. You hear me? All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are so excited to be here in front of you presenting our solutions to revitalize the East Tampa area and to make this area, this historic area, utopia for Tampa Bay's Black community. Our vision is to revitalize the community, foster partnerships, enhance pre-existing programs, build commercial corridors, and establish safe and thriving communities. Now, before you hear our plan and our vision for East Tampa, we want you to ask yourselves, what can you do to make this vision come true?
We plan to achieve our vision by using an asset-based community development model. Our goal is to leverage the existing strengths of the communities by way of human and social capital. We will focus on educating the residents, organizing the members, assessing community resources, and building sustainability. Now you'll hear from our community stakeholders, Ernest Coney, President and CEO at the Corporation to Develop Communities of Tampa, and Director Michelle Van Loan with the Community Redevelopment Agency for the City of Tampa.
So we're excited to see it really begin with these economic drivers. So we had really a four-pronged approach. You can narrow them down into like two prongs, if you would. One is about human capital. Like, how do you really focus on the human capital, to build up the human capital. And then the other side of it is the brick and mortar, the physical capital. We started really with the human capital. We recognize that if you can fix a person or help a person to reach their God-given potential, everything else will come. We started with a needs assessment and we asked the community what they wanted to see. Their responses were around affordable housing, workforce development programs, youth leadership programs, because they wanted to see their kids graduate from high school and go on to college, business and entrepreneurship, as well as healthcare. We were really excited that the community's response was around economic drivers and not social services. So people weren't saying, help me pay my rent or help me keep my lights on. They were saying, if I can get a great job and build a career, I can control my own destiny. As we do have vacant lots and empty lots, it's also about how do we build up the commercial spaces, which we understand what ends up happening if you wait for the market to do it, it ends up being higher end commercial properties only, right? So then you don't have spaces for the micro businesses, for the co-ops. So we have to be very intentional in how we help our businesses to grow. East Tampa has a high percentage of micro and small businesses. So there are a lot of people with this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, but oftentimes just some of the compliance things haven't been thought about. Do you have an attorney who can review your lease before you sign it? Right? Do you have an accountant to make sure that, you have good financial information so that you can tell if your goods and services are costing you too much or you're not charging enough? Just some of the small things like that. Oftentimes, we have the excitement and the energy and we see the opportunities, but we don't oftentimes have all the professionals around the organizations to make sure that they can succeed up and down our streets. It's like unrealized potential. We need to have innovation centers. We need to have light manufacturing centers. We need to have opportunities for people to work and have the dignity.
Our focus is always a balance of that long and short term. For the next few years, I think the focus is going to remain on affordable housing, housing stock initiatives, and then also some commercial development. That is a priority by the state. Again, after the recession, that need increased even more than what we started with when we were first developed. Our commercial property redevelopment, now that we do have some more revenue that we can work with, we're now starting to look at how can we start to make some of these improvements in some of the dilapidated commercial buildings and corridors. In the next 3 to 5 years, we have to continue investment again in those commercial corridors, get back to our streetscape, safety for people who aren't in cars in our green space, and then initiatives that invest in activities that we can attract businesses for our jobs and residents.
So
The East Tampa and Robles Park Revitalization Project is founded on the following 3 pillars: economic development, health and wellness, and finally, social capital. Malcolm X said, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the time is always right to do what is right. Encouraged by the words of these great leaders, we desire to inspire an ethic, solidarity, and pride by providing solutions that empower and encourage self-sustainability throughout the East Tampa and Robles Park communities. And so we present to you ETHIC, the East Tampa Health and Innovation Center. ETHIC will serve the community as a multi-room facility housing a business incubator, spa, theater, classrooms, workspace, community garden, event space for rent. By providing unique experiences, ETHIC will strive to ignite each individual's capacity to innovatively create sustainable and desirable opportunities for themselves and within their community. We hope to collaborate with the East Tampa and Robles Park residents to inspire a tomorrow that represents what is right for their community. Here on the screen, ETHIC's Health and Wellness Pillar will offer both on-site and off-site services to the residents of East Tampa and Robles Park. These services will include educational classes covering personal health, wellness, and mindfulness care.
The classes will be free to residents, and state certifications will be available to earn for little to no cost. In providing opportunities to receive education and certification, Ethic elevates community residents through opportunities for practical experiences, alongside weekly access to receiving life coaching, counseling, and a variety of therapeutic services and amenities, such as those provided by East Tampa Spa Club. Following education and elevation, residents are empowered to execute and share the new knowledge gained from those practical experiences within their community. In support of the community's sustainability effort, Ethic will partner with the Community Redevelopment Agency and leverage local schools in the strategic planning for increasing green spaces throughout both locations. Finally, Ethic Health will extend its services to the community by hosting multiple community-wide activities and events in both Alfred L. Barnes Park and Robles Park locations. The American writer Margaret J. Wheatley said, "There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." Ethic's holistic approach is ingrained in the community's journey to self-discovery and self-sustainability, self-sustaining health and wellness.
To spark innovation, one of the programs housed at Ethic will be East Tampa's Business Incubator. This incubator consists of 3 portions. The first being the education portion, where participants will strive towards an entrepreneurship certificate. During this certificate, they'll learn about vision and future, money and resources, speed and strength, legal and justice, soft skills, creativity, marketing, and how to make a business survive. Once they achieve this certificate, they will elevate their new knowledge by receiving mentoring, coaching, business development support, operations support, as well as being able to use the co-working and event space within Ethic. And finally, after completing their certificate and the business plan, they will receive $150,000 of funding to execute their business. Additionally, this program will be available to the residents of Robles Park, and they'll also be able to use the facilities within East Tampa. Finally, participants who complete the program will receive 50% off allocated space within Robles Park, East Tampa, or a newly developed area called the Utopia at East Tampa. Utopia at East Tampa will consist of anchoring institutions such as Target and Sprouts, as well as the Black-owned businesses created through Ethics Business Incubator. This space is extremely important because it provides the commercial corridors, employment centers, as well as the increase of Black-owned businesses in the area. And most importantly, it allows the residents of East Tampa and Robles Park to be able to live, work, and invest in the community that they live in.
In the words of Henry Ford, coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is a success. The success of revitalizing, not gentrifying, East Tampa and Robles Park starts with investing in the residents. By bridging, linking, and bonding the residents, coupled with community partnerships, will foster both civic and community engagement, giving rise to establishing trust and the overall efficacy in implementing our revitalization plans. According to areavibes.com, the population of Tampa is over 361,000 residents. Nearly 21,000 resides in East Tampa, and almost 76% are African American. Also, the real estate prices are 53% lower than Tampa's average, hence the opportunity to promote wealth building strategies for both the residents and the investors. Creative partnerships and investments will garner opportunities for facade development, new construction of neighborhood and commercial corridors, advancing the transit systems, and more prospects for employment. Rather than reinventing the wheel, we recommend bolstering or strengthening pre-existing community partnerships. Therefore, our plan of action is to work closely with organizations such as the CDC and the CRA to solicit participation in the various community revitalization initiatives, evaluate existing community redevelopment strategic plans, join local boards and community advisory committees, identify accessible budgets and additional funding inclusive of private investors, leverage resources that are mutually beneficial, and strategically focus on enhancing pre-existing programs and services regarding community outreach, healthcare, education, housing, generational wealth, and both youth and community leadership development. In conclusion, our asset-based community development model lends itself to organically executing a renaissance such as this. The Utopia of East Tampa, the Ethic Theater, and Ethic. We thank you for this opportunity. I do apologize. We thank you for this opportunity. Now let's discuss your investment in Ethic.
Show off. We now open it up for Q&A from the judges, followed by general questions from the audience.
Well, first I'll say, wow, you show it off well. Well modeled. Great presentation, and I love how you tied this acronym into something that could really be brought into. Now, having worked with Michelle Van Loan personally, and I know exactly where you got those clips, I would encourage you to reach out to her because this is actually a very good idea. Okay, great. So
continue working with her.
have you considered the, okay, great. So have you considered talking to some of the other partners like Tampa Housing Authority and some of the other abilities? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so absolutely. We also spoke to Anthony Thomas from Solida's House. So in Ybor, yes. So when we talk about strategic partnerships, there are so many things that are happening with the Tampa Housing Authority, with the CRA, with the CDC. And so there's really no need to invent the wheel. So we would definitely partner with these other agencies because they really already have programs established that would fix a lot of the issues, especially with housing in East Tampa. The issue that they have is funding. So there, Michelle actually shared a very interesting statistic with us that East Tampa has the largest CRA, but the smallest dollar amount per acreage. And so we would definitely want to partner with them in the long run in order to continue this project.
Okay, one more thing, and I'm going to do my own selfless plug here. For opportunity zones, have you talked about how that might be a resource for you?
I'm sorry.
The federal opportunity zones that are out there, where the city's currently doing an RFP, or just recently did an RFP for the opportunity zone prospectus and marketing plan, which takes into effect a number of the things that are going on in East Tampa, West Tampa, and our other opportunity zones, which overlap most of our CRAs. I just want to know if you had thought about that as an option, because that's a funding source to get other local investors that aren't necessarily government agencies to be part of this, and people that want to invest their capital gains using basically this greater program, used to be like a 1031 exchange, to put their money in an area like this, and having a good vision allows people to do that. So your thoughts on it?
We definitely are open to continuing the research after today. We all found a huge investment from our personal lives in just learning the little that we did get to share with you today, and the little that Michelle Van Loan and Ernest Coney and a couple other personal residents of the community shared with us. But we definitely are open to continuing the research and development of this project.
And along those lines, I would suggest, and I don't want to steal any thunder from Councilman Goose in case he's gonna talk about this. But, but we are looking at developing an East Tampa community complex. And that complex, it's will be under the oversight of Parks and Recreation, but we're expanding it so that we're looking for opportunities to see how we can connect those different areas, those new ideas to the community. So just keep that in mind as well. And Councilman Goose, I don't know if you want to talk more about that when you take the mic or not, but oh, I'm sorry. But my other question was on the one slide about on the education though, it was what caught my eye was the blood-borne, not the one that had the innovation and not the in the health, the blood-borne pathogens. Why was that an interest for this for state approved training?
So this is just two of many. When I thought about the state approved trainings, I remembered being a teacher. Prior to being an engineer, I was a teacher, a math instructor at a high school, and it was a charter school. And we had to take the bloodborne pathogens. And just in terms of how strategic charter has to operate with making sure their faculty and staff is trained, I thought, well, why not be a pillar within the community where you don't have to necessarily go out, or you can go into an actual interview with these types of certifications already listed that could leverage your ability to acquire a new position. So that was where my thought was. But in addition to that, honestly, we are also open to just building on that. Again, the 2 bullet points, we didn't want your eyes to get crazy, but there were multiple other ideas we had for a state. Correct. Yes.
Thank you and congratulations. That's a great job. And I feel like we're actually on Shark Tank now. So I just need to ask my other sharks who wants to put in, right? But you know, I mean, it's also interesting because it's all community based, all needs based. And I love the fact that you're going out there and talking with people because they're the ones that have that. They've got to live this while you come in, swoop in, try to change something and swoop out. They've got to live it, right? They've got to be able to buy into this, build on this, and continue to have a lot of sustainability. And again, I think a question I kind of threaded throughout most of them is big project. Where's the first place you would start?
So we would think that, of course, buildings and go back to the end. So 3 different buildings such as this, obviously it's not a 2 or even a 5-year project, and especially since it's ongoing through the business incubator. However, the business incubator in itself is not, it doesn't necessarily need to be a building, right? It can be a program. So some small steps that we can start easily and start partnering with educational facilities such as, you know, USF, the technical schools, HCC, Moffitt, Suncoast, well, more so Suncoast, to do the business incubator could be a nice first step.
In addition to that, to speak to the health and wellness pillar piece, the easiest thing would be to go into the communities. Our offsite services do include those community-wide events and activities, such as a community-wide field day that could require your block coming in with their shirts and playing a full-blown kickball game like I did back when I was younger, living on Dolphin Street in Pompano over in the Fishbowl. And so that was a real thing. That was a community. Girls double dutching, hopscotching, something as simple, doing soul line dancing out in the park, community-wide baby showers, partnering with different companies and organizations that could donate diapers and wipes and so forth. Those don't take a building, you know? So being able to do the work first, show that we are here to serve the community, honestly, everything else will fall into place. But we do have a building in mind. Always nice to have an infrastructure to call home, But again, home starts where the person is.
Excellent presentation, ladies. It's awesome. I love the shirts. I was like waiting to see. I'm like, what are they gonna do with the shirts? So I actually lived in East Tampa. That was the first place I got to call home when I moved to Tampa 5 years ago, and I lived there for about 4 years. And I think all the ideas that you presented, like, totally hit the nail on the head as far as the solutions that are needed for that area. I mean, it's just rich and ripe for opportunity there, and it's probably one of the last untouched like communities in Tampa that still holds like a very solid richness and history to, you know, what this city is all about. So I just wanted to say kudos for pulling all of that together. I think that was amazing. The one thing I would ask, or if you haven't already considered, is, you know, how do you plan to maintain some of that historic, you know, aspect, the cultural aspect of East Tampa, you know, in these plans? How do you plan to incorporate that?
So I'll speak to one part. On Hillsborough, many of us might already know about the largest fresh food market right there. And at nighttime, I didn't know this. This was something I found out in the research, but around midnight, a lot of the seafood fishers and all of those types of vendors come in, and you have your Eddie V's and your Burns coming into East Tampa to buy their food to serve in their other communities. So things like that would be powerful for us to leverage in our vision. We definitely have something that is similar to Meacham that was mentioned earlier, with a rooftop botanical and kitchen garden, and also farmland behind our event space, and being able to provide the community with those different classes such as gardening and just cooking classes. How can you turn what you grow in your garden or your herb wall into your kitchen, full-blown meal for your family? So that to me is one thing that immediately comes to mind when you mention about maintaining the historical presence and sustaining.
You have time for one or two questions? One, two, we'll do two.
Gotta have to. I don't have a question for you all, but it's really to Toba. I need to know how you all intend to leverage many of these ideas back with our city and with our state government. You all are probably the best planners I have ever seen in one room together. I'm dead serious. And what we've got to figure out is, how do we take these young people and take their ideas to Tallahassee and to our city of Tampa and to Hillsborough County? We're out here paying planners hundreds of thousands of dollars for ideas, when the best ideas, you're right, the best studies and ideas are right here in this room. So Toba, we've got to figure this out. We need you all's ideas on our streets. What I'm looking at are just dreams that we've had for many, many years. You know, in Tallahassee, they talk about CRAs and getting rid of them. Well, it took 50 years for East Tampa to look like it looks today. So it'll probably take 50 to improve it. But with people innovative like you all, with your thoughts, we've got to figure this out. We've really got to make this real and bring you all's ideas to the table. So to the city and to me and to the city councilman and to all of those listening, we've got to make this real. You all are the baddest group of young people I have seen in years. Thank you. Thank you for your ideas. I mean, you literally give me chills just listening to you. So thank you all so much. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Representative Hart. So the challenge to Toba, we truly accept. We truly appreciate your passion, and we get that energy. That's certainly, we could spend the rest of the day, probably the weekend, talking about what next steps should look like. So we'll talk offline, but we truly, with our whole heart, appreciate your passion and your energy. Thank you for being here.
I mean, I started not to come today because we've got so much on the calendar, but I would have missed a treat. So I'm glad I'm here for this treat. And I have two of my folks with the city of Tampa, and they know how I operate. They know, never tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. I looked at your presentation. Now, Ms. Hart is the general of East Tampa, West Tampa, the North. And I'm the colonel. So we know everything about East, West, and the North because we deal with it every day. We know what we have to do and what's needed. You talked about your epic center. You'll still know I always say I have to have a wow in East Tampa. I must have a wow because the wow will be the connector. That's why when she talked about that center, you talked about Al Barnes, but God does everything for a reason. We had some naysayers, and all of a sudden, another idea came into place. And I said, we're going to call it a regional center because what is going to happen is going to connect all the neighborhoods and the type of programming that's going to be in there for our seniors, for our young people who can get scholarships for dance and ballet and gymnastics. Other communities, that's why I wanted that built, because I know what we need. The bigger focus in East Tampa is what I call economic empowerment. It's not economic development. I can't get economic development unless I got economic empowerment first. Because if I can empower the people, like our neighborhood associations are now becoming empowered to understand their role in their communities, now we begin to build and they begin to give the ideas of what they want to see or what they've been dreaming to see in their neighborhoods. Now, you talked about the CRA several times. Tell me what that is and where that money comes from. Did you find that information out?
So to my understanding, and put me on the spot, but this is good. I'm learning. So I'm gonna push through all the mistakes I'm about to make. But I mean, this is the time to learn, right? So TIF funding was repeated over and over. Tax incremental funding, I believe.
Got it. That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
Okay.
Now, the portion that, where does that money come from and whose money is it?
So correct. So also to what I understood, it had to do with the home value within the community and what the residents of the community were capable of paying in taxes. And I knew there was a difference then that was it was some
is the Avalon tax dollars.
Mhm.
And the port gives a portion, county and the city. It goes into a separate fund. It does not go into the city's general fund. A lot of people think that money goes into the general fund. It does not. That money goes into a separate fund, and that fund is managed by the CRA board, which I just was the chairman of that board. You have a CAC, which is our Community Advisory Committee, and which a lot of our neighborhood associates are getting on and neighborhoods to get on. Some of you who are planners, need to apply to get on that board as well because you have great ideas. And then it's what I call, Mr. Parrish is on that board. Then about the last portion is what I call the client. You've heard that, Mr. Parrish, right? The client. See, the client is the taxpayer homeowner. It's not the person that buys Dunkin' Donuts or car rims. That's not their money. That money goes to the property owners and the business owners. And they have a right and a say-so to that money and what happens, how it's spent. And then they tell the CAC, which is your Community Advisory Committee, the ideas, the projects they want to see. And then that committee then tries to formulate a plan. And then they bring it to me. And I say yay or nay. 6 other members, or how that money is going to be spent, or the development of those projects. Now, my last question, I'll sit out because this is key because you guys are talking about the east side of town, is tell me what those funds are utilized for. What can it be used for?
Okay. So you're asking what we can or what it is?
What the money that those tax dollars that go into that special fund, what can it be utilized for?
So the advisory committee, to my understanding, states their needs, and based off of those needs, that is where the money is then allocated to.
No, those funds can only be used for infrastructure and developmental redevelopment of those communities. It cannot be used for special programming or ideas. It only can be used to redevelop communities. So That's why
streets and lighting, potholes,
rehabbing, there
rehabilitation.
you go.
Correct.
So bricks and mortar.
Okay. Bricks and mortar. Right. Okay. Got it. Thank you. We appreciate
That's
it.
our baby. So we have to tell you about that. 'Cause that's our baby.
Yes, educate us. Thank you.
All right, and that concludes our Q&A session.
Thank you.